If you're a woman in business, you need to know the major communication skills that every successful female leader needs to know in today's business world. So tell me, do you feel like sometimes you have a hard time communicating the value of your products and your services, and even of yourself to the person who is across from you? Do you feel like sometimes these things that are major to you are just being overlooked? In this video, we'll look at the top skills that you need to master in order to feel more confident in sales and build stronger relationships. My name is Renata DeMello. I'm a feminine leadership and sales mentor, and this place is for you to align your heart and soul with selling so that sales feels empowering to you. The reality is that you can be amazing at what you do. Your product, service, your offering can be life-changing, life-transformative, but nothing of that matters if you can't communicate the value of it to the person who is across from you. That potential client already came to you, they are in your sphere. Now you really get to hone in these communication skills so that your client can feel fully seen and that can really understand how your service, your product can be life transformative for them. And one of the first communication skills that women actually shy away from is establishing boundaries. And here's the reality. People, when they are on a call with you, when you're in a sales call, they want to feel that they can trust you. In order for them to feel that they can trust you, you need to establish a solid structure, framework for them so that they know that you got the call. They can just surrender themselves to you. And so when you establish boundaries right at the beginning of your sales conversation with a prospect client, you're leaving it loose. You're leaving it in an open container. You're leaving it boundless. And so what happens usually is that the person across, the potential client, will take the lead. And I'm sure you have felt this way, that you feel like you're losing control of the conversation, that you feel like the person's leading and you're just answering questions. It's not even your call anymore. And so in order for you to make it your call and really establish a strong leadership or set the tone of your leadership, you need to have strong boundaries. And you can do that by establishing a framework, by right at the beginning of the call, when you connect with them, after you connect with them, already share with them exactly what's going to happen on that call, how you're going to navigate that call with them, and then ask them if they have any questions. So it looks like this. Hey, so-and-so, this is great that you're here. Thank you so much. Just so you know, we're going to start by just looking at the things that really brought you here. What are some of the problems that you're facing? How can I support you? How is that impacting your life? And then we're going to look at what you desire. If we think that it's a fit for both of us, I'll be happy to share more about my products and services or my service. Does that work for you? By having that clear, just frame, simple but clear, you're telling them that they can trust you, that you got the call, that you have a plan for the call, and that you know where you're going. This already is huge in establishing trust. And at the same time that you're giving them this framework, you want to ask them for permission to go where you need to go in order to fully serve them. This is key because so much of the sales conversation can be very vulnerable, especially if you're in the coaching world, especially if you're a healer. It's something that if you're going to talk about personal things, you want to ask them for permission first to go where you need to go in order to fully serve them. Once you have that and they give you that permission, then you feel a lot more free and open to blurt things out when you need to ask the uncomfortable questions, to go places where it may seem a little uncomfortable at first, but are necessary so you can really get to the reason of why that person is there and why they need you in the first place. So establishing the framework and then asking for permission. The other communication skill that we get to really master as female leaders is active listening. There are so many of us that are showing up to these sales conversations already thinking on how can I respond, listening to respond, listening to already formulate your next question, listening, thinking, trying to get to the call as fast as possible because you feel uncomfortable. And so active listening requires presence and curiosity. Can you allow yourself to really be present with that person in front of you so that they can feel fully seen, fully heard, and fully comfortable with you? Because the reality is that when you're listening to respond, you're not creating a safe space for your potential client to share the root cause of why they're there with you. And if you can't get to the root cause, you can never really communicate the full value of how your service is going to impact them. Which brings me to the next communication skills, which is really communicating the value of your products and services. In order for you to communicate your value of your products and services, you need to go through that process of asking those deep questions, those powerful questions that will tell you why they're there. And once you have that, then you really know the impact that your product and service can have in that person's life. So you get to simply mirror back all of your clients' desires and how your product and service will fulfill that. So for example, if you're a consultant and your product service is offering something, but really the impact that it's having on your potential client's life is that it will free up more time from them so that they can operate from their zone of genius, so that they can spend more time with their family, so that they can do things that they can trust important work on somebody that they know can handle it, and so that they can use their bandwidth elsewhere. These are values that you want to communicate to your potential client. You want to get to the bigger reason, the bigger picture, the bigger problem of why that person is there, and then reflect how your service is fulfilling that. If you're in the coaching world, this is the point where you want to really show how your offering, your program can impact that person's relationship, how it will provide them space to show up bigger in their business, to be more self-expressed. Whatever that is for your client, for your potential client that you discovered during the phase where you're looking at why that person is there, you really want to link and connect your products and services to the bigger reason, the bigger why of what that person showed up on that call. Sometimes that person will show up on the call because they want a project done, they want something fixed, but is that really why they're there? It is your job to go there and uncover that and then reflect how your service is fulfilling that. The next skill that you get to master as a female entrepreneur is really showing up and sharing about your prices and your services with assertiveness and confidence. And for that, you need to be a yes to your product or service first before anybody else can be a yes to you. So if you're showing up not fully confident, not fully embodied in what you're offering and how much you want for it, chances are that when you share your pricing, you're gonna feel shaky, or you might not even share. You might wanna just hop off the call and send your prices by email. How many of you are doing that? Right here, right now, you're wasting a precious chance to connect even deeper with your client. So this is when you want to really embody the confidence that you have in yourself, in what you're here to do, in your capabilities and your competency to fully serve your client, and own your numbers and own your services with assertiveness, knowing that at the end of the day, your numbers is an exchange of energy. It's never about your worth. So many of you are making your numbers about your worth. How much am I worth? Your worth is priceless. You can't put a price tag on it. Look at you as a person. There is no number to it. So stop trying to make it about your worth. This is about an exchange of energy that will make you fully happy to show up, and that will make your client fully invested to show up as well. Because guess what? Some of you are charging prices that it's easy for them not to show up to that. It's easy for them to miss a call or to not give you what you need in order to do your job properly, because it wasn't a level of investment that was required to call them forward. So this point is really important because so many of you are shying away from the prices and the numbers that you actually want to charge because you're making it about the industry, you're making it about your worth, you're afraid of saying that number, and that you really get to own your number here, and you get to be a yes to it first, so that your potential client can be a yes to you. And lastly, the other communication skills that we really get to hone as feminine leaders is around handling objections and rejection, because many of you are actually shying away from making the invitation to work with your potential client on the call because you're afraid of being rejected. Many of you are afraid of going deeper into the objection handling phase of the conversation because you're afraid of being uncomfortable or inadequate, or that you're just so uncomfortable yourself that you just want to hop off the call. And this is when the call starts. The objection handling is when you get to really answer every question that your client has and be able to show them what it is really there for them. And if it's not truly an aligned client, then you get to let them go. That's great. But if you know you can support that person, if you know that this is the type of person that you want to work with, then you get to sit there in the discomfort with them until they're fully clear on what they need to know to make a fully conscious, embodied, and aligned choice. The choice is theirs and it's yours because you get to be a yes to them as much as they get to be a yes to you. When you're sitting there afraid that you're going to be rejected, you're making it all about your client's choice, forgetting that you get to choose that client as much because it's also your energy that you're outpouring into that person through your work, through your offering, through your time, through your energy. So you get to be a yes to them as much as they get to be a yes to you. And then they get to be a yes to the offer and they get to be a yes to the price. But never forget that you get to be a yes to them first and foremost. And only then that you get to make the invitation. But if you're afraid of being rejected or of getting the uncomfortable conversation of numbers, then you're just going to be shying away from a beautiful opportunity to go much deeper with your client, establish a new level of trust, and then their commitment to actually work with you. So one of the key mistakes that a lot of us are doing is that we're not giving enough time for our clients to process our numbers. And so we're sharing our price and then just talking over right away because it feels uncomfortable. You really want to share the price as an investment, by the way. So this is a key word, not the cost of it. When you think about cost, a lot of us are saying the cost of it is X. When you say cost, we're thinking what? The cost is an expense, right? The cost feels like heavy, feels like weight. It's costing me something. You want to position your offering, your services as an investment because that's what it is. So when you're ready to invite that potential client to work with you, you want to position your fees as an investment. And it sounds like an investment to work with me is XK, 5K, 10K, 100K, whatever that is for you in the moment. And then you want to just hold the silence. Holding the silence can be extremely uncomfortable, but it's where you're going to see where the client is at. And from that point, you can move into objection handling. So great, so it would be such a pleasure for me to work together. And so the investment to work with me in this program is 5K, and hold the ground. Let it land for them. Once they have received that, you're going to notice in their body language if there's any level of discomfort, if there are questions coming, or if it's an easy yes. If it's an easy yes, it's time to up your fees. Congratulations. But you gotta let that client show you how that number is landing with them before filling them with more information. And of course, if your client has more questions, then you get to move into the phase of objection handling, where you get to really answer the question so that your client is clear and trusting you fully, trusting your product fully. Because here's the thing, there's only two reasons why a client wouldn't purchase your offering. If it's fully aligned and it's really for them, the only reason why they wouldn't go for it is because they either don't trust them or they don't trust you. So either way, it is your job to support them see in how they can trust themselves in taking the lead and how they can trust you in delivering that service. I hope this is very helpful to you. I encourage you to go ahead and put into practice these tips and tools and start mastering these skills that will massively elevate your sales conversations and build stronger relationships with your potential clients and clients. And if any of this resonates with you and was helpful to you, subscribe to the channel. Here you'll find more life-changing content about leadership, self-expression, education and sales, and spiritual tools to help you show up in your full leadership, tapped in, tuned in, and turned on.